I want to spend some time now talking about children at different ages and stages. Depending on the age of your child, children react differently to divorce. So it's important to know what developmental tasks children are experiencing and what are some possible stress reactions that they could demonstrate so you can know what to watch for. Understanding children's developmental stages can help you understand what's important to them at different ages. Parenting in the best of circumstances can be a guessing game, but parenting through the stress and confusion of a divorce can make the guessing game even more of a challenge. I want to start off first by just talking about some general tips for all ages of children. The first is maintain routines and schedule. This is really important for children of all ages. As much as possible, make sure that you still have a routine for the day, that you're still going to bed at a normal hour and waking up at a certain hour. And a lot of times when life is chaotic, we tend to throw some of those routines and schedules out the window. But especially for young children, it's really important to have that consistency, to have that routine, and to have that predictability. It really does affect their development and the way they respond to stress. Another is remain calm in front of the child, especially when you're speaking to the other parent. Most of us know this cognitively. We kind of know we should remain calm, but it's hard to do in the moment. And so I just want to remind you that children really do pick up on that stress. Even young children, infants and toddlers, pick up on the stress that we demonstrate when we have a loud exchange with our partner. Also, encourage a relationship with both parents. As much as possible, encourage your children to really spend time with the other parent because we know that as long as the relationship is a healthy one, that it is important to have a relationship with both the mother and the father. The next is to allow the child to express themselves. This will kind of come up as we go through these different slides, but it's really important for the children to feel like they can talk to you about what they're feeling and what they're going through, and that you can hear that without trying to criticize or correct what they're saying. The next is reassure the child that the divorce is not their fault. And this displays itself differently throughout different ages of your child, but it really is important that the children know that there is nothing that they did that was wrong that caused you to get a divorce. It's very common for children to blame themselves, even young children, to blame themselves and think that there was something that they did that caused it. And so it's very important that you explain to them that this is something that mommy and daddy are going through, that this was nothing that they did. And finally, ask for help. It can be very stressful to, in the midst of this divorce or the separation that you're going through, to also deal with some parenting issues and maybe learning to parent as a single parent for the first time. And so don't be afraid to use your support system and ask for help when you need to, your parents or maybe neighbors, or if you have a faith community, to not be afraid to ask for help when you need it. I want to now talk specifically about infants. So this is anywhere from 0 to 3, and some of the specific issues that go along with this age. So first, we're gonna as we go through these ages and stages, we're gonna go through 3 different areas. First, what is happening developmentally? What are they going through? And then, what are some stress reactions, or how might it affect your child negatively? Just some warning signs to watch for. None of these are hard and fast rules. It's not necessarily saying that this is going to happen. Just things that maybe you should watch out for. And the last is, what's a parent to do? What can we do? What do we know from the research that will help children get through this time and maybe lessen some of these possible negative effects? So first, in infancy, the the child is the child's most important developmental goal at this point is developing a secure attachment to one parent. And two parents is great, but we know from the research, as long as they develop at least um, a secure attachment to at least one parent, that they will be a lot more healthy. And so during this time they're developing that attachment, and the way that that attachment is developed is by the parent responding to the child, soothing the child when he cries, so the child begins to know that the parent will be there if something goes wrong. Most of the energy of children of this age, 0 to 3, is spent on development. So they're learning to crawl and walk, and they're learning to pick up things and draw and write, and eventually learning how their first words, and learning how to put sentences together. And so all of that kind of foundational development is happening during this time. And so, a lot of these developmental pieces go along with how it impacts them. So if that development is stressed, they may be hard to console, they may be more clingy. So it's just important to respond to their cries and to make sure that they know that they're not alone. They also may demonstrate regression in developmental milestones. So maybe if you started potty training, they may have some regression in that area, or they may try to kind of regress and act more like a baby. And that's kind of completely normal for a stress reaction. What's a parent to do? Respond to crying. Use transitional objects like a teddy bear or a picture or things like that the child can take back and forth with them from one house to the other. And also, again, ask for help as a parent if you need help. Don't be afraid to rely on a support system. I want to talk now about preschoolers. So this is children anywhere from ages 3 to 5. During this time, preschoolers are developing a much better command of language. They're talking more, they understand more words. And so you can communicate more to them in terms of what's happening within boundaries, within what is age appropriate, but you can communicate more to them about what is going on. Children during this age are very egocentric. They're very self-focused because they haven't yet developed the ability to really see outside of themselves. But because of this, they may wonder what they did to cause the divorce. And so it's important to reassure them that this is nothing that they did wrong, that this is a decision that mommy and daddy have made. Also, during this time, their primary relationship is with their parents, though they do enjoy playing with their friends. Their primary relationship is within the family. During this time, under stress, they may begin to regress in behaviors that they did well, such as sleeping and toileting. They also may begin to act aggressively towards other children. And so those are just some things to watch for. During this time, though they're gaining more independence from you, they may have a fear of separation because they see mom move out or they see dad move out. And so we want to make sure that they know that you will always love them and you will always take care of them, and that you're always going to be there for them. So it is, even though they seem like they're getting older, it is important to reassure them of those things. Now I want to talk about elementary age children, so children anywhere from 6 to 8. Children during this age, this is the first time in their in the developmental spectrum where they actually have memories of the family when it was together. And so because of that, they may have what we call reunification fantasies. They may think that mom and dad are going to get back together if I just act right, or if I can do something to make that happen, then maybe mom and dad will get back together and we'll have our family again. So it's important to talk to them about, that this is something that's final. They are during this time beginning to learn their place in the world and what that means, and so it's important that you help develop that. Also, during this time, because they're now in school and their routines are a little bit different, they may have challenges in school. You may see their grades starting to fall, and so it's important to talk to their teacher and just tell them, hey, my son's may be exhibiting some signs. So just to have the teacher watch for those things. Also, they may feel loyalty conflicts. They may, even if you're not asking them to, they may feel like they're having to choose between mom or dad. And so it's important that during this time you don't make them choose. You don't make them feel like they have to pick sides. So allow them time with both parents, and also give them permission to love both parents. This can be hard, especially when we're kind of caught up in our own grief and hurt and loss. But it is important for the child to feel like they can love the other parent. Also, during this time, because they're developing more of a sense of those around them, they may begin to worry about mom or dad. So if they have, especially if they have to leave for the weekend, they may begin to worry about you. So it's important to reassure them, yes, I'm going to miss you, but I'll see you when you get back, and I'll be fine. And so they don't kind of feel that burden of that it's their fault that you're upset because you're leaving. They still need to know that you're in charge and that you'll take care of them even during this age, just knowing that you will be there for them. Now I want to talk about pre-adolescence or middle school. So this is anywhere from 9 to about 12 or 13. During this time, developmentally, children, you tend to see them kind of going back and forth between being a child and being a teenager. So I had a colleague who was telling me about her pre-adolescent. We also call these tweens sometimes. And she was saying that she had a friend over, and at one moment they wanted to get on Facebook and wanted to talk about boys and things like that. And then in the next moment they were in their room playing with their Polly Pockets. So you kind of see that behavior of they're kind of straddling that line between these kind of more mature feelings and still wanting to be a child. And so during this time, they're beginning to develop their own opinions. However, as they're developing those, children of this age tend to really not be able to see nuances of a situation or see the different sides. And so they really see things as black or white. It's very hard for them to see a gray area. So they may, again, you may see loyalty issues here. They may choose sides, often the side of the parent that they are with the most. And you may also, during this time, see anger, rebellion. So it's important to just kind of watch for those behaviors. On the other spectrum, instead of anger or rebellion, you may see like a detachment from the family or from emotions and kind of a depression. And so it's important to watch for both of those. During this time, it's important for parents to, again, allow the child time with both parents and so they don't feel like they have to choose. Also, during this time, you probably want to have your parenting plan a lot more flexible because children are beginning to become more social and get involved in extracurriculars. So it's important that you not stick to a hard and fast parenting plan of every weekend this has to happen. Or also, because they're developing their opinions and ideas, it's important to allow the child to express themselves without criticism, to make them feel like they're being heard and you're not criticizing what they have to say. Because children tend to see things in black and white, this idea of fairness is a really big issue during this time. And, what's fair? And so it's important to try to talk to your child about those things. They may feel like it's not fair that they have to go to their dad's house or their mom's house, or it's not fair that this is happening at all. And so it's important to talk to them about those things. Now I just want to talk about adolescence. During this time, adolescents are going through a huge brain development surge. Their frontal lobe is really beginning to develop, and that's the part of the brain that helps them think about future planning and helping them make decisions and critical thought. And so all of that is developing. And during that time, they're kind of learning more about their identity and preparing for adulthood. And so it's a really important time for children. Because of this, this brain development and this surge of hormones and everything that they're going through, it's very common for adolescents to engage in risk-taking behaviors. And so this can be demonstrated in kind of a healthy way, where maybe they go out for a sport that they never thought that they would have done, or for extracurricular. But it can also be demonstrated in some other unhealthy ways, like drinking or drugs or things like that. So it's important to just watch for those things. They also may be having difficulty with school or difficulty with authority during this time, and because of a divorce, they may have a negative view of the future. Thinking, well, if this is, I kind of had my vision of what the future was going to look like, and now it's different, and so that may change their perspective. So during this time, it's important for a parent to pick your battles. What's important? What do you really want your child to learn, and what is really going to affect who they're becoming? So pick your battles and decide what's worth fighting for. Another thing that's really important, and we see this all throughout the divorce literature, is to allow your child to maintain their child role. And this is especially important in adolescents, because they are more mature and able to do a lot more things. But it's important that we don't make them kind of a surrogate co-parent. It's okay to ask them to take on some responsibilities in the family, but not to make them feel like the family is their responsibility, or they have to take the place of dad or mom. So making sure that they're still allowed to be a child. Also, making sure that you as a mother or father aren't confiding too much in your child. Remember that they are still children, and so you don't want to share things that are inappropriate or maybe too much for them to handle. Communication during this time is very critical. It's very important that a parent and child really are communicating about what's going on, and because children during this time have more of a social life, and they may have a job or be involved in sports, it's important to plan for those talks. So to say, hey, I just wanted to touch base with you. I wanted to spend some time. Can we talk maybe tomorrow evening? And what's a good time for you? Planning for it can really help take kind of the edge off of the discussion. Divorce at any age can be challenging, or it actually may be a relief, especially if you were involved in a high conflict marriage. Divorce actually may, your child may actually be showing signs of becoming more healthy after the divorce. And so all of these things that we talk about, these possible stress reactions, you may have actually seen some of them before the divorce, because the child may have been feeling some of that stress during the divorce. So all of these things are just things to watch for, things to be aware of in your children. Again, regardless of their age, it's important that they have, as much as possible, have a relationship with both of their parents, that they still have their routines and schedules as much as possible, that they know that you're always going to love them, and that you still allow them to be a child, to maintain their child role. And most important, just encourage communication as much as possible. Really allow them to share their feelings, to share what's going on, and to not put them in the middle of the divorce, to not put them in the middle and manipulate them as a part of the divorce. If you see any of these warning signs in your child, it may be appropriate to seek professional help. And so just be aware that that may be something you need to be watching for. Divorce can be a stressful time for children, but it can also be a healing time, a time to move on, and a time for growth. So it's important to reassure your child of your love and to reassure that your child that you're still going to be there for them for the rest of their life.